Welcome to the show,
Good
everybody.
afternoon and welcome back. This is US Home Talk. We are live every Wednesday at noon and on demand at ushometalk.com or wherever you guys find your podcasts. I'm your host, Marcus Walgrave, with the South Dakota Home Team, powered by Hague Realtors, and with Mike Overson with Luminate Home Loans in studio with us as always. Make sure our show is awesome and starts on time and smoothly, except for maybe today, is Evan Little, our amazing producer and insurance guru. We'll be taking all you guys' questions here today during today's show. Anything and everything real estate. Our call-in number is 612-234-7585. Again, 612-234-7585. Or you can leave us a message on the comments section on Facebook. Good afternoon, guys. How are we doing today?
Doing pretty good. Jason
Awesome.
specifically told us not to mess the show up this week because he couldn't be on the show with us. and I think we're off to a good start so far.
It's a good start.
Right?
It's a good start.
Yeah.
Hey, no, Evan says no, it isn't. That's okay. We are gonna have a great show today. 2024, we are coming to an end. It's kind of crazy to say, right, Mike? I mean, it seems like the year has definitely gone by super fast. I am one to embrace the seasons that we live in here in the north, and technically, it's still fall. It doesn't feel like fall. It doesn't feel like fall. It feels pretty cold outside, but fall nonetheless. We got about another week or so left.
I mean, it definitely feels like winter up here. So I'm up in, I'm just south of Minneapolis, about 15 miles is where I'm at. We got a wind chill of about 0 right now, and we're gonna hit below 0 tonight, and we're probably gonna have a 15 below 0 wind chill tonight, and then tomorrow I think the high is supposed to be 7. So our wind chill probably won't get above 0 tomorrow, to be honest with you. So all day tomorrow it's gonna feel like negative temperatures out there. So I would definitely say it's winter. Technically fall, but it's winter. Trust me.
It's winter.
Yeah.
So. But with the year ending up here in the upcoming days, I would like to talk about some forecasting for real estate for 2025. Top 5 is kind of what I was hoping we could discuss here today, and so what do you say, Mike? Should we just jump right into it?
Let's jump right in. Yeah, I like the list here. We got a good list going.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing that to take from our top 5 forecasts for 2025 is that there isn't anything explosive to be shared today, and I think that's a really good thing. If you're looking to get into the real estate industry, whether you're buying or selling, stability is going to be good. It's a best case scenario for everybody. And I think that's what we're going to see in 2025. It's not like it's going to be a cakewalk for everybody, and everything that we are hoping for or need is going to happen for us in 2025. But I think just having that stability of kind of knowing what to expect, and not having too much variations between one month to the other, or in like in 2023 or in 2024, like 1 week or 1 day from the other.
Right.
So number 1 on our list, inventory will slowly improve. I know we've kind of been talking about that here, throughout 2023 and 2024, that we do have this, historically low inventory. That inventory is still going to be low, but I don't see anybody suggesting otherwise. There's nothing that we're capable of doing to satisfy the demand that we have for housing right now in the U.S., but improved nonetheless. I think what we're going to see is a lot of the sellers who are sitting on those exceptionally low mortgage rates. They kind of saw and maybe watched a lot of houses that they wanted to move into last year pass them by because they were hesitant about it. And they're going to say, you know what? this rate's a pretty good rate. There's no more sticker shock with today's rates, and we are comfortable moving forward with putting our house on the market so we can buy the house that maybe we need for our family or our personal needs or whatever the case might be, whether it's a move up or a move down. Pre-existing homes, everybody's forecasting, everybody is saying that specific sector of the inventory is going to increase, and our builders are obviously doing a rock star job getting homes built at the highest quality possible, and that's going to continue as well.
Yeah, if I look at the last 3 years, just looking at going into the winter and looking at the inventory we have up here in the Minneapolis metro market. So we have an 11 county metro up here that I know the stats like the top of my head here because we watch them all the time. If we go back 3 years ago when interest rates were still down there in the 2.75 to 3 range, we went into this time of the year with about 5,000 listings. Okay. Now, a balanced market up here in the 11 county metro area is about 18,000 listings. That's an equal number of buyers and sellers. We had 5,000, right? So we were well underneath the demand that was out there for the inventory, right? That was on the market. And we went into the spring then, got up to maybe 7,000 listings, but spring market is always the one where houses fly off the shelf, if you will, up here. Everyone's excited for the weather to turn, and more people list their house in the spring. And so we get more buyer activity out there, and it gobbled up the inventory. Okay. So that was 3 years ago, 5,000 into the winter, coming out into the spring, about 7,000 homes on the market. We go 2 years ago, we were entering this time of the year with about 8,000 listings. About 7,000 listings, and then going into to the spring with about 8,500. And then last year at this time, we were at about 8,000 listings going into the winter here, and then came out with about an equal number, about 8,000 listings there. So this year, where are we at this year, right? This year, we're at about 10,000 listings right now. So our inventory, as you can see, moving into these winter months have gone up, right? 5 to 7 to 8 to now 10, right? Kind of a nice steady increase. And now we are 10,000 listings into the winter here. We're probably going to be going into the spring. Some of those will get gobbled up. I'm guessing we're probably only going to be about 8,500 or so once we hit the spring market. But as far as the number one bullet point here of inventory will slowly improve, we've kind of seen that over the last 3 years, right? It's been a slow and steady deal. Builders can only build so fast, and we are multiplying population-wise faster than they can build a house. And so it's actually kind of nice to see that we're actually starting to catch up now a little bit versus falling behind like we had been for several years there.
Yeah, great points, Mike, and thanks for sharing the stats too. And that's kind of what we're seeing as well. Year to date here in the Sioux Falls, South Dakota market, we are, when comparing 2024 to 2023, we are up 11.3% year to date. So we've seen a nice increase of inventory, new listings comparing from this year to last year to date. Our inventory of homes for sale, from comparing the month of November of 24 to November of 23, we're up 4.7%. And I think that is what we are seeing in our personal markets, our specialized markets that we work and service in, and a lot of markets are seeing, not all of them, not everything across the nation is that. I mean, I think if you start diving into it, you are seeing some markets down south, where the inventory the inventory is increasing significantly quicker. There's specific markets where prices are kind of coming down some. And that kind of good segue right into our next top 5 lists of forecasts for 2025. Prices will slowly increase. They're going to slowly increase. However, buyers are going to be, they're going to be confident about it, because something else that's being forecast is that the American salary is going to increase at a higher rate than what homes are going to increase by. So, throughout 2025, individuals are going to feel, people who are looking to buy in 2025, they're going to feel more confident in their financial position in 2025 than they were in previous years, simply for that, a reason in itself. So, just kind of looking at I came across a great article online from marketwatch.com, and this was realtor.com is forecasting a 3.7% increase for 2025. There is a Bright MLS. They're forecasting a 3.1% increase for 2025. Fannie Mae, home prices to grow by 3.6 in 2025. And NER, home prices to grow by 1.8% in 2025. So maybe NAR is the one that's a little bit more on the conservative side, but you see that, right? I mean, you're looking at 3.7, 3.1, 3.6, 1.8 from NAR. And, again, you just kind of looking into your specific market and looking at the stats in your specific market. I'm just kind of taking a peek at mine. The median sale price year to date for the Sioux Empire, which makes up the Sioux Falls and the surrounding counties, year to date, again, comparing 24 to 23 year to date, we're up 3.6%. And if you go back, if you want to find our shows on our previous shows, go check out ushometalk.com, and you can go back there and you can see at the beginning of 2023, that's what we were forecasting here on US Home Talk. We were saying, 4% is probably what we're going to see. And that might be on the good side in terms of if you're looking at in the eyes of a seller. And that's really kind of what we're looking at, 3.6 here in the Sioux Empire percent increase.
Yep. And the inventory and prices go hand in hand. So let's even go back to right when 2022, when rates went from 3% on January 1st up to 7% by October, right? Rates hit 7%, and everyone's just like, oh, home prices have to come down. With interest rates, more than doubling in 10-month span, home prices have to come down. Well, guess what happened? They continued to go up. Home prices didn't come down, right? Appreciation continued to go up. And that's how our inventory affects home pricing. So even though we have more inventory now, it's slowly increased. If you go back to what I just said, in our market, a balanced market is 18,000 listings, right? We're at 10,000 now. We haven't seen 18,000 listings since probably, coming out of the crash, right? 2010, 2011, 2012, maybe we saw 18,000 listings. That's the last time we've seen that number. So we've been underneath a balanced market ever since then. And so, prices, I do agree with that. Prices will continue to slowly increase because we just don't have the inventory for prices to go down. The price increase will slow down, and that's why it's saying they will slowly increase here. I do think that 3 to 3.5%, maybe 4%, is probably what we're going to see in 2025. I think it's spot on.
The college that you graduated from, Mike, South Dakota State, SDSU, the Jackrabbits.
That's right.
They held a great conference. This is about maybe a month or two ago that I attended at the convention center here in Sioux Falls. It was Land and Lending, I think it was the title of the conference. But they had a panel there and they were talking about it. And one individual, he kind of made the comment about we all talk about supply and demand, right? Supply and demand. He goes, really, the statement should be said in reverse: demand and supply. Like that's maybe a better way to perceive how it affects prices. So demand in the Twin Cities and in the Sioux Empire, high. Supply, low, equals increasing in prices. So he just kind of made the comment that it's not necessarily the supply that affects the demand, it's the demand that affects the supply, and then ultimately creates the ripple effect on prices. So but I thought that was interesting, just kind of the spin on supply and demand and supply. So
there's certainly
number 3.
There's certainly a lot of smart people that come out of SDSU.
Yes,
I will say that.
I don't know if any of the panel members were from, but yes, and they're pretty good at football as well.
Yes, yeah, they're not shabby.
Not shabby. Number 3 on our list: rates will stay about the same. Again, we go back to we go back to the end of 23, right? And what were we pushing? A little over 8.
We hit, if you look at late October, early November of 2023, we hit 8.5.
8.5. Yeah.
Yep.
And then, so, if we kind of start from maybe call it February of 24, I mean, it seems like we've been right around 6.5 for the last 9 months. That's kind of a fair statement to make.
Yep, 6 to 7, basically bouncing there. Every once in a while, maybe get a little bit over, or a little bit under, a little bit under 6 or a little bit over 7. But yeah, we've been bouncing that 6 to 7, so we're riding that 6.5 line, give or take. And it's been good, to be honest with you. I mean, with rates staying about the same, here's what happens. I look at my best months for closing loans, right? And I look at those. Okay, so here's my best month for closing. I've closed the most loans this month. What happened the prior 2 months from that? Because everyone's shopping, getting their purchase agreements, locking their interest rates, 30 to 45 days before the closings happen. So you look at how many closings you had this month, and then you got to go back, right? You got to go back 30 to 60 days. What was happening back then to spark all these closings to happen now, right? And if you look at it, it's when interest rates actually just kind of just leveled off and like stayed the same, right? Because then it kept it predictable.
But it makes sense. Yeah, predictable, right? Predictability makes people feel more comfortable.
Absolutely. So imagine this. You're going out there. It's like your loan officer's like, okay, interest rates are at 6% right now. You qualify for a $350,000 house. 2 weeks later, he's like, interest rates are now 7%, and you qualify for a $285,000 house. Well, I've been looking at 350s this whole time. Now I got to change my search up and go look at 280. So change your search up and you go look at 285s. And then a month later, you haven't found the house yet, because they had to drop down a price range. So you're not finding the houses you like. And then a month later, he's like, okay, now your rates are back at 6, and now you're at 350 again. Well, it's like, how do you plan and how do you prepare for that? Right. So it's like, just give us a number and just stick with it. So it can be predictable and we can plan. To be honest with you. And then that's what I see. It's like whenever we get rates to be the same for like 30 to 40 days, right? We're roughly the same, where they don't waver more than a quarter, right? Then we get all these deals coming in, and then we get closings 30 to 60 days after that. And so if we can keep that type of mentality, if you will, keep that type of, non-fluctuating rates, for a good majority of the year, then people can plan and they can prepare for that, and and they're not going to get hit with surprises, and we're going to see 2025 be a good year for us.
Yeah, and we looked at that at the end of about mid-year of 2024. Again, I had a chance to attend a lot of conferences and conventions specific to real estate, and a lot of the chief economists, whether they were coming from Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, or NAR, that's kind of what they were saying was like, hey, maybe by the end of this year, we might get under 6, but that 6.0, 6.5 is going to be the new norm. I mean, if you kind of look at any kind of the forecasting for 2025, and that's what they're saying. They're kind of saying 6.5, just be prepared for 6.5. And it's not easy for buyers right now. And to go out there and find a home, it's not going to be easy in 2025 as well. However, just like you said, just the lack of fluctuation of having these conversations of, Mike, what do the numbers look like now? Okay, that was on Monday, and then Thursday comes by. Mike, we went and saw some houses. What do these numbers look like? And that anxiety already out there in terms of, looking at low inventory and maybe, a hot listing comes on the market. You kind of have this sense of urgency, and now you got to got to make sure that those numbers still look the same. That's not a good feeling. Nobody wants to feel that way. So yeah. I think that stability in 2025, people are going to be able to sit and say, you know what? We did look at some homes in fall of 24, and Mike said that we were right around 6.5% rate. Now we're looking here in winter of 2025 or spring of 2025, and we're at 6.5 again. And also another big plus for us buyers out there, prices only slowly increased over the 3-month or 6-month or 9-month period. So again, I mean, they're able to sit down and they're able to see these numbers and really say, you know what, this is the right time for us. We're in the financial position to pull the trigger on buying a new home or buying our first home for that matter. And we're confident in the situation. We're confident in our employment and our income. We're going to go ahead and make the move on it. So I think that's another good forecast for 2025. Number 4 on our list: construction will be strong. It has been very strong, for the last several years. Home builders have been very confident. Maybe not so much at the end of 2023, right? Those rates really shot up pretty quick on them. They may have been sitting on some additional inventory, not knowing that that's what was going to happen with the rates and the effect of inflation. But since then, things have kind of settled down and throughout 2024. And they're building a lot of them. A lot of our high volume builders, they're able to build and get their homes sold before they even get to the market. They don't even have to put it on the market. They're in a sense like pre-solds, even though that they're specs. They're still in a sense pre-selling them before they go to the market. So builders are very confident in the situation. I think one thing that kind of comes up that I've been seeing here recently is actually two things. Trump's tariffs that he's planning on doing, and then also the deportation of our illegal immigrants. I wish I could remember where I came across this article, but the immigrants make up a large percent of our workforce when it comes to construction. It was a decent percent. So there is some of that concern of like, okay, well, if the cost of material goes up and labor becomes even more scarce, excuse me, what is that going to do with pricing, things of that nature. So those are probably the two hot topics that we're going to be hearing a lot about in the upcoming months. But there's a lot of positive things for the builders out there in terms of their costs with the financing, and so there really isn't. I'm not coming across any kind of information saying new construction is going to be super expensive in 2025. Again, it's a very like things are going to be stable kind of feeling.
Yeah, so the builders I work with up here, they're definitely all preparing for a good spring parade, right? They definitely think that this is going to be the best spring parade that they've had, since probably 2022. 2022 was the spring where rates were still, in the spring parade, they're still about that 4% range, right? They're still low. They were working their way up, but they were still low. That was the last like really good spring parade that they had. And then it's been slow since then because rates have been higher. And construction, the cost of construction really didn't go down, right? So it's just like, the cost of construction didn't go down. Rates went higher, and a lot of builders are, you're not building like entry type of homes. Most of the builders that I work with up here, you're looking in the, they're starting in the fives and going up to like 900,000, right? So it's more of a kind of a move up buyer, if you will, type of product that they're building. And so, sales and stuff slowed down for them a little bit as rates crept up, because, people looking to move up and stuff, maybe they decided to just hang out for a while, right? And stay in their house. Now, we don't have to buy the new house. We would like to, we would like a brand new house. It'd be nice, but we don't have to, right? So some of them sat on the sidelines a little bit and stuff. I think those people do get off the fence, coming up here, in this spring, starting this spring. And so I think construction will be strong, there. There's one other point I was going to make. Now I lost it here. That's my old age, my memory going away from me.
But I think one thing too with it when it comes to the construction, we talked about 2022. Yes, the rates were more attractive, right, Mike? And which made everybody very confident. However, if you were doing that first time move up buy, maybe a little bit of a custom, not entirely like a spec or an entry level home, or you were doing more of a higher end luxury home, and you were getting bids out there. I mean, the cost of material with the disruption of the supply chain and the unknown of what material was going to skyrocket this month. So the bids that were coming in were very tough for buyers to plan for. When we're like, hey, this is what it is today, but until this product is purchased, I can't guarantee you that this might not, this one material might not jump up 10, 20, 30%. So again, like that stability, I think is what we're going to see with new construction in 2025.
I will say one of the builders, I just was in a meeting last Thursday, with one of the builders I work with, pricing doesn't seem to be going up much throughout the different models that he's building here from 2024 to 2025. Their biggest home that they built, a big 2-story, right? 5,500 square feet, big 2-story. It's going to go up about 15 grand in price, but but what you get with that, you get quartz standard throughout the house, bathrooms, kitchen, all that stuff. So that's an upgrade standard that comes with the increase in price. He's also going to Andersen windows throughout the entire house.
Yeah.
So, and then also standard white trim throughout the house as well. So, if you take those upgrades away, the price increase really isn't there at all, right? It's just the only reason why there is a price increase is because he's upgrading standard features, to Andersen windows and the quartz, and like I mentioned. And so pricing construction wise, it looks like it's going to be holding pretty consistent from 2024 to 2025 here. And I think that'll definitely help spark more people to probably swing new construction this year.
Yeah, more confidence, right? More confidence in because we talk about this on the show all the time. New construction. If you're starting from scratch, and you haven't even found a lot, you need to buy a lot and go from there. If you are building a beautiful custom home that's got 5,500 square feet, 2-story, probably not likely you're going to get done in 9 months. Maybe, I guess, if you got some exceptional weather, and but it's a 12-month process. And so, just knowing like, hey, we're confident in how this is going to, how when the dust settles, this is where you're going to fall. And then we talk about a lot of great loan products that you guys have at Illuminate Home Loans, Mike, and there are those construction type of loans where you can lock into long rates for new construction. So again, that just makes the buyer confidence much higher.
Yep. One of our best products is exclusive to us. I actually helped develop the product within our bank. It's a 300-day rate lock on a 7-year arm. So it's still a 30-year loan, but the rate is fixed for 7 years. We work with our builders to help subsidize some of the cost for that as far as the points and stuff, but it's at 5.49%. We can lock you in at for 300 days.
Yeah, nice. Awesome. Last one on our list, number 5, regulations will be eased for developers and builders. I mean, I think that's a forecast, a prediction. It was obviously a campaign for the elected administration that's going to be coming in. That was something that they touched on how to maybe help this housing crisis, to get more people in homes and out of a rental situations in home ownership. And so when you see that, I think that eased or deregulation, for developers and builders, that's going to help bring down some costs. So if we do see some costs go up in other areas like tariffs and maybe labor costs, I think that's where we're going to see hopefully maybe like a wash, right? The cost might come up a little bit here, but it's going to come down here. So 2025, the big picture is it still looks really good and healthy.
So this is a bigger deal than what most people realize, and I'm curious to get Evan's thoughts on this. Evan, if you're still there, what do you think? So when you look at the cost of a house, you got a $600,000 new construction house out there, right? How much of that cost is due to regulations and compliance and things like that in the state of Minnesota?
It depends on what you define as compliance with regulations. Because
so like permits and, inspections from cities and meeting codes and things like that. If you take
that's the one that I'm like, meeting codes, building a house to code. If you don't have any building codes, then technically like I can put up a tent and call it a house. And then I go, look at all the money I saved.
Yeah.
So
what would you take a guess though? Just say, if someone just blankets, regulations and compliance with, government, whatever, if you had to take a stab,
I would call it 15%.
So it was almost double that. It was about 30%. Right. And so, for example,
okay.
Right. So for example, one of the houses, one of the plans, in one of the cities. Now it can change city to city, right? Because there's permit costs. But anyway, this builder that I do a lot of work with was building one of their models in about a $550,000 price point in a particular city. What do you think the cost of the permit with the city to build that house was? $550,000 house.
$10,000.
$24,000 for the permit alone.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Right. So it's those
That's a
types
chunk
of
of
things.
money.
It's like, right. Yeah, it's a huge chunk of money. And it's like, yeah, do there have to be regulations? Do there have to be codes? Yes. But
Yes.
where does this $24,000 go to? That seems extreme to me, right? The city is not going to go in there to that many times to the house to check for code and this and that, right? There's about 4 times along the way that they check for stuff, make sure it meets spec and all that fun stuff there. I just don't see on a $550,000 house how $24,000 for just the permit is justified. But it's things like that come up. If we can be more efficient in that realm of building a home, I mean, you're talking a huge savings there, right? So if we can cut 15% out due to just regulations and things like that, 15% on a $600,000 house, I mean, you're talking, what is that? $75,000. That saves you $75,000 right there. So I think it's a bigger
chunk of
deal than what
change.
people think. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
if we can get some change, if we can become more efficient there, like you can start swinging these numbers, for the better by a lot, with just a few simple changes. Maybe not simple, but a few changes.
Yeah, and I think just having that opportunity to, because if you're not going to be able to do both, right? Like leave regulations where they're at, and not help developers and builders bring down the costs on that end, and then also increase cost of material through tariffs, things of that nature, and increase of reducing our labor force, and so there definitely has to be some give and take for it. So, but nonetheless, I think kind of the big forecast for 2025 is that it's going to feel a lot like, in my opinion, it's going to feel like a lot like the last 9 months of 2024, or the last 6 months that we've seen in 2024. Just pretty even keel, steady, stable. What you see at the beginning of 2024 or 2025 is likely what you're going to be seeing at the end of 2025, in my opinion. And before we go to the end of the show, Mike, just kind of curious, where are we at with rates today? About is it about 6.5 is what I kind of was seeing online.
We're pretty much hanging at that 6.5 mark. And by the way, the 15% of 600,000 is actually 90 grand, not 75. Figured I'd cover that. I'm in the mortgage biz, so I'm not good with numbers. So I got to make sure I get my calculator out to help me out with that. Yeah. We're hanging around that 6.5, and it's been like that for a little while here. In September, we got down to like 5.875. Not for long, right? We got there. Wasn't for long, but we got there.
Like a week, 10
so
days or something.
And that sparked activity. Anything if you can get into a 5 and be like, oh, rates are in the 5s, right? Even if it's 5.99, if it's in the 5s, there's going to be activity, right? That happens because we just haven't seen rates in the 5 much over the last 3 years. But just know that, if we can ride this 6.5 mark, and just keep it steady, that stability, trust me, that stability it'll make 2025 a really good year in our industry.
Well, as always, as our show comes to an end today, to thank everybody for your time tuning in live to our show and your support of US Home Talk. As always, you can find our show online at ushometalk.com or wherever you guys find your podcasts. I'm your host, Marcus Walgrave. Mike Overson. Have yourself a blessed week.